Welcome to Health Coach for Women. Intentional living for more happiness and fulfillment in your everyday life with your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker. Join Marsha as she shares her own personal wellness journey, as well as stories from our guests that will enlighten and inspire you to move towards better health and happiness. Now, here's your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker.
Thank you for joining me on another episode of Health Coach for Women. Today I want to talk to you about finding joy and happiness in the midst of the adversities that many people are going through right now, right? And so during the midst of the challenges and adversity where people are, and I don't want to start off sounding down and gloom, but right now some people are out of work, either they're recovering, receiving unemployment, maybe have lessened hours. How do we still find joy and happiness in the midst of all of that, right? How do we still find joy in the midst of, maybe losing loved ones who've lost loved ones this past year in 2020, due to COVID or whatever issues, right? How do we deal with that? How do we still find joy in the present moment? How do we still be able to maintain our wellness, our good health and mental health? How are we able to do that? Right? It's not an easy thing, right? It's a bit of a challenge, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. And one of the things that we do, or one of the things that I do, and what I teach my clients to do, is it's learning to be present, right? Learning to be present in the present moment. And that's why I call this intentional living, because you have to set your intentions on the things that you want, right? We set our intentions on the things that we want, and we do our best to keep a positive outlook, a positive perspective on life, even when things aren't going as well as we would like them to, right? Even though things may not be going as well as we would like them to, we still have to find a gratitude. We still have to find a way to be grateful and to be present and to focus on the present moment, living in the present. And one of the ways we do that is by expressing gratitude. And you'll always hear me talking about this almost in every episode, if not every episode, right? We have to talk about being grateful, right? Waking up in the morning and just saying thank you, right? Thank you that you're able to breathe and take a breath. Thank you for waking up this morning and still being able to see and spend time with the ones you love the most, your loved ones, right? The people who matters to you the most. And that's a beautiful thing, to be able to wake up and to see the sun shining, right? And to hear the birds chirping and to wake up and see your children, your husband, your spouse, your significant other, to still be able to wake up and smile at that person and give that person a hug, or they giving you a hug, or whatever it is, and to be able to do that. It's a beautiful thing, right? And we have to cherish those moments because, again, none of us is guaranteed that, none of us is promised tomorrow. And that's why it's so important to be present and to live in the present moment. When you find yourself still feeling down and out and due to the weather, people do go through seasonal depression, right? People do experience seasonal depressions especially particularly in the winter months, as the weather is cold, it's darker, the sun is not out as much, it's cold. And so this season tend to put some people into a slump, right? And one of the ways that you can do that to break out of that seasonal depression is by getting one of those bright lights that you have that you can get online. It's a bright light to keep that room lightly lit. Even if you don't have that during the day, open up your blinds, right? When the sun is shining, open up the blinds. I do that every morning. When the sun is out, and even when the sun is not out, I love the light. So when in the morning time, I'll get up. First thing I'll do, after I pray, meditate, I get up and I open up the blinds, right? And sometimes, my husband, if he's still in the bed sleep, he doesn't want the bright light. But I'll go in the other areas of the house and I'll open up these blinds. So it's something about that brightness, right? Something about that light, right? That seems to help with your mood and seeing it bright and sunny and being able to have that light beam in, it does something. It does help with your mood, right? And listening to the birds chirping. It was Sunday morning. I was downstairs in the breakfast area, and I was just happened to hear the bird chirping, and I just stopped for a moment and just listened as the bird was just singing, and chirping away. Not a care in the world. He was just singing and being, expressing his own gratitude, I would say, expressing his own attitude, gratitude of singing and chirping. Birds chirp and sing when they're happy, right? So here's this bird, he's free to roam and fly and do and go wherever he wants, and he's just singing and chirping away, right? That's a beautiful thing. And that's the beauty in that, listening to the sounds of nature, right? Listening to that, listening to the bird chirping. And I paid attention to it for a moment, and and I stopped and I thought, I was like, wow, this is so beautiful just to wake up in the morning. And I know some people say, oh, really? But it may be nothing to some, but it means a lot to me and to those who are being present, right? And those who are finding a way to appreciate everything, right? And to appreciate everything and every living thing, appreciating it, right? And so for me, I just took my moment to appreciate that bird singing, and it helped me also. It just, wow, he's happy, he's chirping away. He doesn't have a care in the world, and made me take a look at moment and say, wow, it's great to be alive. It's good to be alive, for me to be able to wake up and hear this bird chirping in the morning. It's a beautiful thing, right? And so let's find ways that we can find our own joy. For you, it may not be hearing the sounds of the birds chirping. For you, it may be something else. For you, it may be, I don't know, maybe you waking up and listening to your favorite melody, your favorite song, or, waking up and reading a book, or waking up and doing your artwork, whatever it is for you, where you're able to get that joy. It makes you feel good inside. It makes you feel good and alive, right? Because we have people who are walking around, right, on the planet right now, and they're not happy, right? And I'm not saying because they're not happy, oh, that's a bad thing, but everybody have their own moment and their own season of coming into being, coming into who they are, right? And so, you have many people walking around, they're not happy for whatever reason, right? They're walking around with this void inside, but you can find a way for yourself, and not only just for yourself, but for yourself, and helping others and finding that joy, right? And finding that peace. There's nothing better than having a peace of mind, right? There's nothing better than having peace, right? Peace in your home, peace in your work environment, peace, just wherever you are, not to say that every day is going to be like that, but those moments when you have that and you're able to see that and have those moments, appreciate those moments, appreciate those moments when you have a time of solitude, because a time of solitude is a time of stillness and reflection where we can sit back and reflect on our own thoughts, our own desires, right? Our own things and challenges that we faced and we've gone through and we survived and we've made it, and we're still here and we're still pushing forward. We're still pushing forward no matter what, right? And so that's so important. Self-care is so important, right? And we have to take care of ourselves. We have to put ourselves first. We have to take care of us, because you can't give from an empty cup. We all know that, right? You can't give from an empty cup. How could I offer you a drink of water when my cup is empty? I can't do it. It's impossible, right? I have to go and refill it. So everybody needs to refuel at some point. Everyone needs to refuel, reboot, whatever you want to call it. And it's finding those happy points. It's finding those happy spots and happy times and moments where you can, find a time, you making the time to reset. If it means getting up earlier, for something, whether it's just to stretch before you go to work, taking some deep breaths and stretching before you go to work and stretching it all out and having your moment. And who wants to be in traffic and hustle and bustle, and we're always rushing to get somewhere, but really going nowhere, right? Going nowhere fast, so to speak, right? Let's take a moment to set aside time for ourselves. Time for ourselves to just be in the moment of being present, right? Be in the moment of just appreciating the here and the now, right? The here and the right now. Now, right now, it's just so peaceful and quiet here, right? It's so peaceful and quiet as I'm doing this podcast, and I appreciate that, and I'm grateful for it, because it's being able to have that quiet moment where you can reflect, right? Having that quiet moment where you can just enjoy, just be, just relax, just have that moment, right? And because we're always so on the go, and sometimes we're so busy rushing that we're always in this high energy active mode. And so when do we slow down? When do we slow down? For some, you're knocked down and slowed down in other means when some divine force, God, the creator, whatever, will stop you in your tracks to slow you down, right? Or whether it's coming up with the flu, some type of something that'll set you back in your health, right? To knock you on your feet and say, hey, wait a minute. It's that wake up call to let you say, hey, wait a minute, you need to slow down. You need to slow down. So it'll stop you. You'll be stopped in your tracks. And it's not to set you back, but it's for you to take a moment to say, to take a look and say, wake up and pay attention, to slow down, right? We're not having a race. It's not always about having a race. It's not always about, chasing the dollar, and because we need to provide for our families. Yes, we need an income. We need to provide for our families. We need to do what we need to do, right? We need to do what we need to do. But in the midst of that is just taking a moment and say, you know what? Okay, it's time. I set aside time for a moment for me, whether that is taking some time in the morning or in the evening when you're winding down, taking some time to just relax and to not focus on anything or anyone, not to focus on any bills, not to focus on what's going on at work, issues you may be having with a coworker, family member, right? And so you have to take the moment to just put everything on pause and just relax and just take time to just enjoy the moment, right? I don't care what it is that you do. You have to find your own happy spot, your own thing that brings you joy. It could be journaling, writing, drawing, artwork, whatever it is for you, right? Meditation, stretching, yoga, Pilates, whatever it is for you that brings you comfort and joy, then you do that. You do that, right? And of course, we don't want to do anything that's going to be harmful to our health, right? So I'm not talking about things that could be detrimental to your health, as far as heavy drinking, smoking, all of these things. I personally don't drink, to each his own. But what I'm saying is find that happy spot for you where it's going to bring you that comfort and joy, and it's not harmful to your health, but it's taking that time to just be in the moment and being present, right? And along with that, being mindful of the choices that we make, right? Being mindful of the choices that we make, because we know that it is our choices that gives us our current reality, right? It's the choices that we make. And sometimes we make choices in life that we feel is the best choice at that time, at that given moment. And that's why it's so important when you're making a decision and when you're making a choice, it's best to do it when you are not in a place of stress, right? Feeling that anxiety, feeling anxious, feeling overwhelmed, feeling this sense of urgency. Because sometimes when our mind is not clear, we make hurry rush decisions, and it's not always the best decision. So when we're making choices, when we're making decisions, it's best when our mind is clear, right? When we've cleared and filtered out the noise, and we've had our moment to reboot, refocus, recenter ourselves, then that's the time when we can see things more clearly. And if you're dealing with having foggy brain, right? I think we've all experienced that at some point. Having that moment of where you don't have clarity, you don't have focus. That's when it's definitely important for you to take that moment and just find your own peace, find your own quietness, stillness, taking that time to meditate or and seeking that guidance through your prayer or whatever practice, whatever it is that you choose to do and you believe for you. And it's so important to do that because so many times, I know I've done it in the past, making these rush decisions, especially when I was experiencing that a feeling of anxiety, and feeling like in a rush, because we know that anxiety, it comes from this place of fear. It could be related to finances, because we worry about our finances and things like that. We may not always make the best decisions. It's best when your mind is clear, right? It's best when your mind is clear, you've filtered out the noise, and you've taken that moment for yourself to just be peaceful and find peace within yourself, finding that joy, that happy spot for you. And I can't stress that enough, that it's so important, right? And one of the other things that we do, you sit back and have your tea, you having your herbal tea, right? That gives you that relaxation. You have so many different herbal teas that can bring you some calm, like lavender, and you have the chamomile. You have these other teas, and that brings me to another point I want to make: getting the proper rest, right? Getting the proper rest. And sometimes when you're dealing with a lot of worry and anxiety, you experience restlessness. So sometimes you find yourself waking up in the middle of the night worrying about things, right? I've done it, right? And so when I dealing with my anxiety, when I was dealing with it at the time, waking up in the middle of the night worrying about finances, worrying about how I'm going to do this and how I'm going to do that, what's going to happen, what's going to do this, and you find yourself being restless and you can't sleep. Sleep is so important. It's so important for your health. Getting enough rest. And also when you don't get enough rest, what happened? You're moody, right? So you're not in a good mood. You didn't sleep, and so now your restlessness is now affecting others around you, right? And so it's so important. It's not just when I say that, it's not always just one thing. It's a combination of things of what we need to do to find that happy spot. Right? To find that happy spot. And some of the things that you can do to find your own happiness, to find your own joy, is accepting yourself, right? And accepting who you are and where you are at this present moment, right? Without any judgment whatsoever, right? And sometimes we just judge ourselves so harshly, right? And so find your own sweet spot for you, by not judging yourself so harshly, right? Accepting yourself for where you are where you are right now in the present moment. And you may not be where you want to be, and you may be where you want to be. And if that's so, that's wonderful, right? But if you're not where you need to be right now, it's okay, right? You're not having a race, right? There's no deadline. Sometimes we put these deadlines that, oh, I needed to reach this goal by such and such a time. There's no deadline, right? It's good to set goals, and that's why it's good to set your goals higher than what you expect, but going without the expectation, right? And you're probably saying, well, that doesn't make sense, or I kind of get it a little bit. But what I mean by that is just, we all have goals, right? And we set goals, but we're not pressed by these deadlines. Like if we don't make this deadline, it's not going to be the end of the world, right? And so when you want to get things done, it's just the point of getting started. It's just the point of getting started. And we all experience setbacks, right? We all experience setbacks because we know that life can throw in curveballs, right? You can end up getting sick. You can end up maybe losing your job, maybe being temporarily laid off, or whatever it is. What is a family member is sick, ill, whatever. And so that's a part of life. But what's important is being able and knowing how to handle adversity when we go through these challenges and unexpected events that life throws us. We all experience it, and no one is immune from it. No one can escape, certain thing. And when I say that, so no one can escape death, right? And so when I say that, it's not to put you in the fear of dying. What I'm saying is that we can escape. So, but while we are here, while we are living, let's find the joy in living. Let's find a reason to be happy. Let's find that reason to live, right? Just the point of waking up, sharing, again, going back to sharing those moments of being with those you love and care about, right? And having those beautiful moments where you can have those moments and time to reflect with yourself. And it's so important because in the stillness, you get to really know who you are. In reflection, you get to discover things about yourself that you didn't know. So it's okay to be imperfect. We're not looking for perfection. It's not about perfection. It's about accepting where you are, who you are right now, accepting that. And it's okay to not be in the place where you want to be, but day by day, you're striving towards that. But in the midst of that, again, being intentional about what you want and finding your own sweet spot, finding your own joy of the things that you enjoy doing, tapping into your creativity, right? Unlocking that potential that you have, unlocking those hidden potentials that you choose not to share with the world, right? And so because we're living in fear, right? And so we don't want to live in fear. We don't want to, because when we do that, are we really living our best, true, authentic self? No, we're not. We're really not, because we're stuck in fear. We're not really expressing all of who we really are, right? All being able to express all of who we really are. And so that's what this whole program is all about. And also, I also wanted to mention to you that I'm doing this Heal and Love Thyself series. And if you haven't heard me talk about it, I'm talking about it again. And I guess I should have mentioned it last week. And in this series, I'll be live on Zoom beginning March 7th, which on at 7 p.m. Heal and Love Thyself series, where we will meet each week and we will go through a process of healing and forgiving ourselves and being able to love ourselves unconditionally so that we can find more joy and happiness, And so we can find that sweet spot. Some people are really having a rough time right now. And so I want to be that support. I want to be that person that's here for you and to be able to serve. But you would need to book a call and schedule a clarity session with me. That is what is required, that you would need to book a call. Okay? And so you can visit my Instagram, Marsha_Roopchand_Walker. Right? I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or you can just visit my healthcoachforwomen.com page, and you can schedule a session through my website, healthcoachforwomen.com. You can book a session there and schedule a session. You have up until Friday, 12 noon Eastern time to book a call. And so I want to keep this group very small, no more than 5 to 7 people. I want to keep it very small. And so I am looking forward to doing this series, and because people really are going through some rough patches right now. And I would just like to be that one to be able to be that person there to support you on your journey and in what you're doing, and support you in what you're doing. You know, I've spoken to a few people, and very talented people, very talented, gifted people who are looking to do some amazing things. And I'm looking forward to seeing their work in the near future when they finally go ahead and write that book. Hey, myself included, But, looking forward to seeing all the great things and amazing things that, that you all have to offer. There's this gift, there's this creativity inside that you're bursting to unleash, or you want to do it, but you're just afraid to step out. I want to help you to be able to do that, right? And so we're going to lose the fear. We're going to tackle the things that's been holding you back. And with this Heal and Love Thyself series, it's healing, right? Healing from whatever trauma we experienced in the past, and learning to live and love ourselves, fully, 100%, unconditionally, even with the imperfections, right? Even with the imperfections, because we always think that we have to be so perfect. So perfect for who? To please who? The outside world? To please yourself? If you want to please yourself, but you still don't have to be perfect, right? Because it's not about being perfect. It's about taking the time to get to know who you really are and to know yourself, right? And to know yourself and to be able to love yourself unconditionally. And that's what the self-love is all about. That's what self-care is all about. That's what the healing is all about, and that's what intentional living is all about. And being intentional about everything that you do to bring more joy and happiness to your life. So I'm hoping to hear from you. Again, you can visit healthcoachforwomen.com to be a part of the series, healthcoachforwomen.com to book your clarity session, and I'm hoping to hear from you. The series begins March 7th, live on Zoom with me for 4 weeks as we dive in and we heal and we have some fun, and I have a few surprises that I'm not going to share right now because then it wouldn't be a surprise. So that is all I have for you in this episode. I am looking forward to speaking with you next week. Thank you so much for listening in to Health Coach for Women. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for listening to Health Coach for Women with your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to rate, subscribe, and review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate that effort. Until next time.